Brunch, guys. I am so honored that you're staying with us. Thank you so much. My next guest, I was just speaking to him. We haven't had a chance to talk for a while, but it's always so interesting when he's here because there's so much information that is passed on. So, to the viewers, I know that you guys were wondering about World Food Day. You were wondering about the Lamb Fest. We have the horticultural show. All these events you guys wanted to know about. And so we have the chance to have that discussion this morning. Dr. Paul Crooks joins us. Now, Dr. Crooks is a staple of this brunch set. He's an accomplished veterinarian. But today, he is coming as a representative to speak on World Food Day, green markets, Lamb Fest, you name it. And good morning to the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment, and of course, Sustainable Development. We thank you so much for your navigation into the agricultural sector, and we wish you success as you go forward. So, Dr. Crooks, thank you so much, and good morning to you.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning.
How are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I've been on vacation actually.
Oh, well, okay,
even
but that
before
explains it,
even
'cause I
before the
haven't
World
seen
Food
you.
Day, I was on vacation. Even before the
Okay.
Lamb Fest, officially.
Right.
But I've been trying my best to support the events and support the division and the activities that we want to really push and see succeed.
Right.
So that's what we've been working towards.
So tell me, was it a bumper season? What feedback are we getting? Let's start with the Lamb Fest because this was the first ever Lamb Fest that was, implemented and celebrated. What's the feedback like if we needed to recap on that?
Yeah, so I'm going to be very realistic about what happened.
Right.
Not necessarily throw positive light or positive spins where there are things that could have been improved.
Right.
I definitely would mention that because that's how we learn, that's how we grow. For the Lamb Festival, it was extremely well attended. I think the idea was very well received by members of the public. Our marketing efforts paid off.
Right.
And we had many, many persons come. However, as a result of that, now the way the Lamb Festival was planned, there were certain caterers who were selected and they would purchase lamb through Tadco and then they would prepare that lamb and sell the food. Of course, the idea was to have unique presentations and hopefully recipes going out as well. What happened is ultimately we didn't have recipes going out. So 2024, it will be a requirement.
Recipes. Yes.
Additionally, because the caterers were cagey about how much of an audience they would have coming to this Lamb Festival, they didn't want to make a big investment and take a big risk by purchasing 200 pounds of lamb. So many of the caterers purchased 30 to 50 pounds of lamb, which was incredibly small considering ultimately how successful the event was, how many people came by. And even leading up to the event, we had caterers pulling out even up to the week before because they weren't sure what's going to happen and they didn't want to take the risk. Now that it's an established, successful event where many, many persons came, I think there'll be no doubt in 2024, caterers will be prepared that, okay, we're going to have many persons coming in. They'll be coming straight through from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. as advertised.
Right.
And we must be able to feed them. So on the one hand, we had caterers who left having sold out of everything they brought. That's good for them, but it also meant that some of the caterers were there for 2 hours because they sold out in 2 hours, which meant that on their side, while it's good they sold out, they don't have any spoiled food to talk about, they also missed a huge crowd that came later on. And part of the issue is, while we predicted maybe about 2,000 people would come in person, and we possibly had somewhere in that region, people didn't only buy for themselves. They bought
That's it.
they bought for their families at
Yes.
home. You know, people came after church, so it was 5 people together. But then, even though 5 people came, they are buying for their parents, for their neighbors. So you're not just catering for people who show up in person, but you're catering for persons at home. But beyond that, people bought food to have for the next day for
Exactly.
themselves.
Yes.
They're not cooking tonight. They're eating lunch. They're also not cooking tonight, and they're not cooking tomorrow either.
Exactly.
So they came to buy loads of food. And so that's where, unfortunately, we didn't deliver
Yeah, you fell short in that regard.
in that regard.
Yeah, because we're pushing for more inclusion. And I think persons were very hesitant. It was as if, okay, well, we're not sure, so we're just gonna play
That's
it
right.
safe as opposed to being
Go big.
bold and big. And then you get to witness, you get to be a part of the success.
And then I also want to say what I've noticed throughout this series of events. So our Lamb Festival, Green Markets, World Food Day, Grand Exhibition, is many of the participants didn't take the opportunity to market beforehand. So at the Lamb Festival, just as an example, we had Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute. They always deliver good products. I don't know how familiar we are here with them or the audience may be, but the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute really comes through with good quality food. It's a good program that they have. They're training students, and we love to work with students at the division. They're training students. So we always try to incorporate them. THDI took the opportunity prior to the Lamb Fest to share on their social media, we will be here on this date at this time. Come and get. Here's the menu, come and get it. And people came and they got it.
Yes.
THDI was sold out in an hour. I'm not even exaggerating. They just came and they went. They were that good at their marketing. But many of the other caterers didn't take the opportunity to market, to promote themselves. And if we go forward to World Food Day, then once again, you would walk around the booths and the stalls, the grand exhibition, and you would not know who is this person selling. What is he selling? From a distance, you wouldn't know to walk to this guy because he has this type of ice cream that's made from these local products. You wouldn't know to go to this booth because they're selling these types of food. Many of the caterers there didn't put up a menu. So there's an opportunity that many of our smaller entrepreneurs and so on are missing. Lars was just on here, and marketing is incredibly important.
Very
if
important.
you just look at his bottle, that Tobago gold
Yes.
bottle, and it's very attractive. It's an attractive product.
Yes.
Just from the design of the bottle, just from the design of the label, and so on. And I really want to encourage all of our stakeholders in 2024 and beyond, and for tomorrow's horticulture show, which we'll get to talk about in detail.
Yes.
I want to encourage everybody to really push. This is, yes, we are providing the division is providing the platform for the sale of your product. But we expect and we hope that small businesses would also get the crowd to come in themselves. We don't want at the division that we provide this opportunity where you have the opportunity to sell to these people and you just passively get to the space and you just wait for whoever comes.
So let's
Get
take
them
the
in there.
initiative.
That's
yes, let's exercise that initiative. Let's be go-getters
Yeah.
as opposed to just reactors. So we're just here and we're waiting for people to come.
That's right.
They must know before they get there that, okay, this guy, the ice cream, I heard about him, let's go there. They must, and this is where marketing, that is such an important part. This is where marketing comes in. So moving forward to 2024, is the conversation going to be different?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what having seen what happened, because for 2023, of course, we moved site. We moved from the parade ground to the Shore Park Food Hub. And it was still an incredibly popular event, the Grand
Yes.
Exhibition. We had never-ending crowds, and that's good for everybody involved. But the planning, the logistics of that site would have been very different to the parade grounds, where we had a sort of a routine, a standard. This is how many tents they are laid out like this. We have occupational safety, health approval, and so on. All of that well in advance and for years before. This year, because it's a new setting, there was a lot of figuring out as you go. And going forward, if we continue to have our World Food Day exhibition at that Shore Park Food Hub, that the sort of learning curve that we've had, we won't really have that anymore. We'll be more established. We'd have a better idea of how many spaces can be allotted and so on. And what we expect is going forward that the division will have this nailed down.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
therefore, we are asking that the participants, the stakeholders, do their part and push to get people in, to come and see you, come and see your product, come and try your food. We really want, that's how we get the sustainability in. The division provides the platform, and the marketers, the promoters, the entrepreneurs take the platform, take the opportunity that's provided and run with it.
Definitely.
Make it yours.
And we're going to take a break. We're going to be right back with more. We have so much more to discuss. We're going to be right back with more Brunch, A Taste of Tobago. But let me mention the trivia question again. You all cannot say you don't know what the trivia question is. I have been mentioning it since God knows when. Okay? So I'm going to mention it again. Where in Tobago is Governor Bridge located? I'm giving you all so much time to get this answer. You see how much I care? I care. I care about you. That's why I'm saying it so many times. We're going to be right back with more Brunch, A Taste of Tobago. Do not go anywhere. See you soon. And we are back with more Brunch, A Taste of Tobago. Like I said, guys, Dr. Paul Crooks is here, and we were just delving into just a bit the events which took place involving that wonderful, wonderful agricultural sector. And we were just talking as the ads were being run. And horticulture, the horticultural show, we delved into that the last time you were here, and you spoke about the stipulations, you spoke about the rules, you spoke about that care in making sure that you did not have the parasites and you did not have plants that could possibly affect the ones that are there. And you were talking about the challenges that you still faced. Let's just delve into that a little bit.
So for this year's World Food Day, we made a bit of a change to what was considered the norm. I mean, it may have been good on the one hand because people had to cross from the Shore Park cultural complex where they would have parked into the Shore Park food hub.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how many things they would have been able to carry as they would have at parade grounds. But we decided that there would be no plants on sale at the grand exhibition.
Right.
That we changed venue because of parasites, giant African snails, in fact. But also we moved the whole plant show, the whole plant aspect of the grand exhibition, we moved that out to a separate event, primarily to control the movement of parasites. Of course, you, as a medical professional, you're trained to think, how do I keep diseases that may be transboundary diseases out of my country? But even within your country, you can still contain diseases to local areas. Right now on the island of Tobago, we have the giant African snail. And it is a problem in the areas in which it exists.
Yes.
And of course, that means it's a problem for all of us. It carries up food prices and so on. Farmers are negatively impacted and what have you. But it also means that it can easily spread from one location here on the island to another location here on the island. At the Grand Exhibition, we still had persons coming to, uh, even if they were setting up plants just for decorative purposes in some cases, we had still people bringing plants to the Grand Exhibition. And this is despite being told beforehand, please do not bring the plants for these various reasons. Part of the way that we hope to address that going forward is to continue our educational push to let people know these are the reasons, this is the rationale, because we hope that by increasing the understanding that we get greater buy-in from members of the public, from vendors, from stakeholders.
Yes.
So with the horticulture market, which is tomorrow, your decorative plants, your seedlings, various types of crops, all available tomorrow. We're going to have caterers, we're going to have local ice cream, polori, all kind of thing happening. So there is an event tomorrow that is more than just plants, but also if you're looking for plants, this is the chance to do it.
Yes.
We don't expect the crowd that we had for World Food Day. Moreover, we're not going to have tents on the outside. So you can park right next to the Shore Park Food Hub, come in from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and get all your plants, your car right there, walk to the car, put them in there,
Yes.
and then you can go home with them. You don't have to carry a heavy load too far. But the reason that we're talking about this horticulture market as a separate event, we actually had a meeting last week, Tuesday.
Okay.
Miss Tamika Seals Manzano, our head for crops in the division, she would have met with the stakeholders and she would have impressed upon them the importance of participating according to the guidelines that we've set.
Yes.
And we got the buy-in that we were hoping for. Because what happened and how we changed was yesterday, Sunday, we asked the vendors to come and set up like they're ready to sell. Put up all their signage, put your plants on display. We set up the place exactly like it will be tomorrow. We asked them to do this so that we could apply a treatment, which was applied last night. The treatment, it is recommended that people generally don't come within the vicinity of the area for 24 hours. So we had them set up on Sunday night, treated for giant African snail, and then by tonight, the place is safe to go around and do whatever you want.
Right.
And the idea was, we don't want any individual to come to our horticulture event hosted by the division who is trying to protect food security on the island, and then you take giant African snail home to your house.
Yes.
We do not want that to happen at all. So we've tried our best to take every precaution to ensure that when you come to purchase plants tomorrow, those plants are treated, they are safe to handle, they are safe to plant and to transplant, and there will be no parasites carried from that location to your house.
To your house.
And really, the concern with giant African snail is that it eats everything. Basically, whatever you could think of here in Trinidad and Tobago, it will eat it.
Yes.
And not just trees and plants, they will bite the wood and the bricks and the cement on your house. It depends how desperate they get, how much competition they have. If you keep your numbers low, they might be satisfied with just plants in the yard, which again, still comes at a cost because, and I try to impress this on people, even if you're not overrun with giant African snail, just having them around means you're going to be using snail bait, or you're going to be capturing them just to keep the numbers low, capturing them and immersing them in a bleach solution. That bleach and that snail bait that you're purchasing, that you're now consuming, you're using, that is not something you would have been purchasing before.
Yes.
Not in those quantities. So even if the snails are not affecting you, even if you are not a farmer, the costs are going up in managing this pest. Just the cost of surviving and living. There are persons whose yards are overrun with snails. The snails are on their walls in the daytime. You're just seeing the snails crawling up the walls, even during the day. And I mean, what you're talking about here with that infestation, of course, it will crawl your blood. It's just gross to look
Yes,
at.
curdling.
But also the damage that they do to the environment. They compete with our local snails, and snails function importantly to scavenge. They would eat kind of rotting old fruit and so on in the environment. They have an important ecological purpose, so they function and they fit into the ecosystem. But when you have increased numbers at any level in the ecosystem, it just throws the whole balance off.
Yes.
And that's where the giant African snail really causes a negative impact. And if you are a farmer, you're going to suffer because your crops will be destroyed unless you increase your production costs by buying more beets, by applying sprays and so on. You're now spending hundreds of dollars more per month to stop the snails destroying your crops. Those extra $100, few $100 that you are now spending are going to be turned over to the consumer.
Yes.
Ultimately, we are now going to be paying more for every tomato and more for every head of lettuce and so on as a result of this African snail.
Yeah. And the thing is, trying to eradicate, it's almost as if, okay, you're not just gonna be okay with having a few snails and getting rid of them. It can't just be one person. It has to be everyone holistically, coming together and really getting into that whole eradication. Because you have the snails that are natural born scavengers. But the African snail that's like a whole different other vibe right there. That's a whole different level.
A vibe, yes.
Because they're eating into the wall and eating into the house. And it's more than what we're accustomed to. So there's even more concern in terms of getting rid of the pest.
And again, in Tobago, I would say we're fortunate. Climate change has not really negatively impacted us yet, and hopefully it doesn't. We are an island that still has a fairly high level of rainfall throughout the year. The rainfall is spread so that we don't have heavy, intense rains enough to cause very severe flooding. But look at Trinidad, the Trinidad situation. Eradication of the giant African snail will be virtually impossible, where every several times a year there's flooding. So if giant African snail was down the river, there's no more river. Everywhere is river. So the giant African snail is everywhere. And that's what's happening with the floods in Trinidad. Thankfully, in Tobago, we don't have that. Hopefully, we won't. But again, as you said, it's a community effort. So we have this horticulture market happening tomorrow. And while everyone is coming there to buy plants and to commune and eat all of the various foods on sale and so on, and of course, come with your family. Again, decorative plants. You're looking at seedlings and so on. You can set up your home garden. That's the objective tomorrow. But when you come there, be mindful of the pests. Every person can play a role in controlling the giant African snail.
Definitely.
We also want persons to report the giant African snail if and wherever they see it. So again, these are the kinds of things that we're hoping to not only people come by and they purchase plants, but also we're hoping to educate and let people know these are the concerns that we're having, and here's how we can all work together to ensure we have a sustainable market and sustainable food and a beautiful environment for generations to come.
Yeah, and World Food Day celebrations I heard so many positive responses, positive feedback, and you in the division, you would know if you're not happy with something, if something could have been done better and that sort of thing. But moving into 2024, you made it so clear, and we want to thank you for being here, that the narrative is changing, the conversation is changing, and hopefully you have the stakeholders on board. They understand fully what is required of them. And so let's get to marketing. Let's get to pushing our Tobago product. Let's get to that point that is important for our development. Yeah.
Absolutely. And as we saw where there were issues with inter-island travel, Tobago can feed itself. In fact, I will go beyond that. Tobago can not only feed itself, if we push, if we seriously decide to go into agriculture and agricultural production on this island, Tobago can feed itself and all of Trinidad. And this is not an exaggeration. This is something that we are capable of doing if there's the political will and the will of the people to support ourselves, to buy local. I mean, we all got conditioned to eating KFC, which is generally imported chicken and imported potato. We can condition ourselves to eat local foods, locally grown foods. And even here in Tobago, one of our shortcomings, and I hope that is something we could work on together throughout the THA, because you and I had a little WhatsApp exchange about blue food. Why is blue food not part of the overall calendar and activity of events alongside the World Food Day events? Why are they promoted differently and so on? Hopefully, these are things that we can work on, that in years to come, we have all of these activities laid out together, that this is what Tobago is doing throughout 2024, throughout 2025. All of the various divisions are doing all of these different activities. And how can we continue to push and promote and break down those sectors, break down the silos, break down the individuals working as individuals to get us coming together as communities, as persons who are interested in sustainability and growing the island of Tobago? How can we break down those barriers and ensure that happens? And that's what we want to do.
Yes, and it's a step in the right direction. I just want to thank you so much, Dr. Crooks, for being with me today. Thank you for coming to Brunch. Thank you for the information. It's always informative when you're with us, and that's one of the reasons I love doing this show. So 2024, we look forward to bigger and better things from the division. We look forward to more effective marketing, more effective management, and we cannot go wrong. As the years go by, we're going to get better and we're going to improve.
We will.
Yeah? Thank you so much. We're going to take a break. We're going to be right back with more Brunch and Taste of Tobago, mentioning the trivia question once again. Where in Tobago is Governor Bridge located? All right, we're going to take a break and we're going to be right back with more Brunch, a Taste of Tobago. See you guys soon.
Jimmy's Holiday Resorts has 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, fully self-contained apartments located at the heart of Crown Point. Minutes walk to the popular beaches, restaurants, bars, and the airport. Enjoy our amazing amenities such as fully equipped apartments, complete with Wi-Fi, AC, TV, and a pool, and a mini-mart on the compound. Call 639-8292 or 8929. Jimmy's Holiday Resorts is your family's home away from